This video is all about the circumference of a circle. So just to give you some background on circumference, the circumference is the distance around the circle. So all of this blue that I just drew is the circumference. Distance around the circle. Okay, so there's some other important parts to know about the circle as well. Some measurements that you need in order to find the circumference. The first of which is the distance from the center to the outer part of the circle. That is called the radius. Okay, now the radius is halfway across the entire circle. The part that's all the way across the circle here is called the diameter. So it's important that you know that the radius is half of the diameter. And conversely, the diameter is 2 times the radius. Okay, so that is some important information there. Now, there are 2 ways that we can find the circumference, okay? The circumference is equal to 2 times pi times the radius. You also might sometimes see the circumference written as the circumference is equal to pi times diameter. Remember, when the numbers and letters are right next to each other, that means to multiply them. So these both work because the diameter is 2 times the radius, and order doesn't matter when you multiply. So you can use either of these equations here. I would write them both on my paper if I were you. All right, so to do some examples right here, the very first example that we're going to have, number 1, this circle is going to have a radius of 4.3 inches. So I'm going to first write down the equation that I want to use, and that is that the circumference is equal to 2 times pi times our radius. Now, I'm going to replace the radius, which I know the radius because it starts in the center and works its way outside. It's only halfway across here, is 2 times pi times 4.3 is our radius. Okay, so when you multiply these 3 numbers, that's equal to the circumference. The circumference is about 27.02 and so on. Because pi is a irrational number that never ends, you're going to get a value that never ends here, and I'm just going to round it to the nearest hundredth place. If you use 3.14 instead of pi, because we know pi is about 3.14, the squiggly equal sign means about, then you'll get, if you use 3.14 instead, you will get an answer that is about 27.004, which is really close to this, but you want to use pi because it's the most exact answer that you can have. Okay, so same thing with number 2 right here. Number 2, we're given an example here in which this part is labeled 15 centimeters. Oh, hold on, I forgot. We need to put units for this. So the circumference, the distance around this outside, is equal to about 27.02. Because we're measuring a distance and because this was given in inches, this is also in inches. So please make sure you have your units included in there. Okay, so now we are given this diameter. So this time I'm going to use this equation here. Circumference is equal to pi times diameter. So when I plug my diameter in, I get circumference should be equal to pi times 15, and when I actually plug that into my calculator and solve, I get that circumference is about equal to, we're going to approximate it right there, it's about equal to 47.1 This is being measured in centimeters, therefore this distance is also being measured in centimeters. If you wanted to use the other equation, you would have to first transfer the diameter to the radius. So if the diameter is equal to 15, then I would cut that in half. 15 divided by 2 is equal to 7.5, and that's my radius. My radius would be equal to 7.5. I would get the same answer because I would do C is equal to 2 times pi times 7.5, and when I plug that into my calculator to solve, I get approximately 47.1 measured in centimeters. So either of the equations would work in this case. The last thing that I want to show you is if you are given a circumference, so if you have a circle here and they say that the circumference is equal to 90 feet, there is a way for you to find both the diameter as well as the radius. So I am going to use the equation circumference is equal to pi times diameter because there's less steps involved. So I have already been told that my circumference is 90 feet. So 90 should equal pi times diameter. So I know that this is equal to about 3.14. So I have to figure out now, okay, what number times pi is going to give me 90? Well, to do that, I can simply divide both sides by pi, doing the inverse operation. When I take 90 and divide it by pi, I get approximately 28.65, and that is equal to the diameter. So that's telling me that this number times pi equals 90. All right, so if we have the diameter then that we got by doing 90 divided by pi, can you see that? There we go. Oops. So when we get that value, 28.647, the way I can find the radius from here, because I know the radius is half the diameter, is dividing that value by 2, and that then gives you your radius. For about 14.32 is equal to our radius, and we got this by dividing by 2.